What are tariffs? Tariffs are taxes imposed by governments on imported goods or services. They function as a fee charged when specific products cross national borders. Tariffs serve multiple purposes for governments. First, they generate revenue for governments through the taxes collected on imports. Second, they protect domestic industries from foreign competition by making imported goods more expensive. Third, tariffs can be used as political leverage in international relations and trade negotiations. These taxes directly increase the cost of imported goods, making them more expensive for consumers. As a result, imported products become potentially less competitive against locally produced alternatives. In summary, tariffs are border taxes that affect prices, competition, and international trade relationships. How countries set tariff rates. Countries use several methods to determine tariff rates for imported goods. There are three main types of tariffs. Ad valorem tariffs are the most common, calculated as a percentage of the imported goods value. For instance, a 5% tariff on a $100 item would be $5. Specific tariffs are set as a fixed amount per unit of measurement, such as $2 per kilogram of imported rice, regardless of its value. Compound tariffs combine both approaches, applying both a percentage and a fixed amount, creating a more complex barrier to trade. Governments establish tariff rates through various mechanisms, most commonly through three main processes. Legislative processes involve parliaments or congresses passing laws that set tariff schedules. Trade negotiations between countries can lead to mutual tariff adjustments. Finally, in many countries, executive actions can modify rates in response to economic conditions or trade disputes. Tariff rates vary widely across product categories, with some strategic industries receiving higher protection. For example, textiles often face tariffs averaging 25%, while agricultural products might see only 5%. Automotive products typically have tariffs around 20%, and electronics around 15%. When setting tariff rates, countries must consider their international trade agreement obligations. These include World Trade Organization maximum bound rates, which set the ceiling for tariffs a country can impose. Free trade agreements often eliminate tariffs entirely between participating nations, and most favored nation status requires equal treatment for all WTO members. These complex mechanisms for setting tariff rates create the global trading environment that shapes international commerce today. The World Trade Organization plays a crucial role in regulating international tariffs. The WTO's framework provides four key functions related to tariff regulation. Member countries agree to bind their tariffs at certain maximum levels, creating predictability in global trade. The WTO's most favored nation principle requires countries to apply the same tariff rate to all WTO members, preventing discrimination. The organization also provides a dispute resolution mechanism when countries believe others have violated tariff agreements. Through successive rounds of negotiations, the WTO has generally worked to reduce global tariff levels over time. To apply tariffs consistently across the global economy, countries use standardized classification systems. The Harmonized System, or HS, is the most widely used framework, providing a standardized 6-digit code for categorizing products. This system is used by more than 200 countries worldwide. The Harmonized System code structure begins with 6 standardized digits. The first 2 digits represent the chapter, the next 2 represent the heading, and the final 2 represent the subheading. Countries often add additional digits for more specific classifications to meet national requirements. These country-specific extensions can vary from 2 to 4 additional digits. Let's consider a practical example. Fresh apples are classified under the HS code 0808.10. Breaking down this code, 08 is the chapter for edible fruits and nuts. 08.08 is the heading for apples, pears, and quinces. And 0808.10 is the specific subheading for apples. Countries add their own extensions to the base HS code for more specific classifications. For example, the United States might use 008.10.00.30 specifically for Granny Smith apples, while the European Union could use 08.10.8.10 for cider apples. Different classifications can result in significantly different tariff rates. For example, fresh table apples might face a 5% tariff, while apple concentrate could be subject to 10%. Organic apples might qualify for a lower rate of just 2%. Importers must correctly classify their goods according to these systems. Customs authorities verify these classifications during the import process through documentation review and sometimes physical inspection. Incorrect classification can result in delays in customs clearance, incorrect tariff assessment, and potentially serious penalties for misclassification. Understanding tariff classification systems is essential for businesses engaged in international trade to ensure compliance and avoid unnecessary costs. Significant differences exist between tariff structures in developing and developed economies. Developing countries, primarily in regions like South America, Africa, and parts of Asia, typically maintain higher average tariff rates. These higher tariffs serve two main purposes: protecting emerging industries from foreign competition and generating essential government revenue. Let's compare the average tariff rates between developing and developed countries. In contrast, developed economies generally maintain much lower overall tariff rates. The World Trade Organization recognizes this disparity and allows special provisions for developing nations. However, developed economies often maintain high tariffs in politically sensitive sectors despite their overall lower rates. This disparity in tariff structures creates ongoing tension in international trade negotiations. Tariff administration and collection involves complex processes managed by customs agencies. Customs agencies stationed at ports of entry are the frontline authorities responsible for assessing and collecting tariff payments. Importers must submit detailed documentation declaring the value, origin, and classification of goods. Customs officials may conduct physical inspections of shipments to verify that declarations match the actual goods. Payment systems vary by country. Some nations require deposits or full payment before goods are released, known as pre-clearance payment. Other countries permit payment after clearance, giving importers time to distribute goods before settling tariff obligations. Many countries have modernized their tariff administration with electronic systems that streamline processing, reduce errors, and provide real-time tracking. Despite technological advances, paper documentation remains important in many regions for legal authenticity and as backup records. Tariff escalation is a common practice where rates increase as products become more processed. For example, raw materials like cotton may enter a country with minimal tariffs. As the cotton becomes processed into yarn, fabric, and finally into garments, the tariff rates progressively increase. This practice, known as tariff escalation, protects domestic manufacturing industries by making it more economical to import raw materials than finished goods. Beyond tariff escalation, countries implement special tariff provisions that add complexity to the global trade landscape. These special provisions include tariff rate quotas, seasonal tariffs, and anti-dumping duties. Tariff rate quotas allow a certain quantity of imports at a lower rate before higher rates apply once the threshold is exceeded. Seasonal tariffs are higher during domestic harvest seasons to protect local producers when they have products available. Anti-dumping duties are additional tariffs imposed on goods sold below their fair market value, which can significantly increase the total tariff rate. Together, tariff escalation and these special provisions create layers of complexity in the global tariff landscape, requiring businesses to navigate carefully when engaging in international trade. Tariffs create significant economic effects across both importing and exporting countries. For importing nations, tariffs typically raise consumer prices, creating a burden for households and businesses. When a tariff is imposed, the supply curve shifts upward, resulting in higher prices and lower quantities. This creates a deadweight loss, a reduction in economic efficiency that benefits neither consumers nor producers. The effects on consumers include higher prices, reduced product variety, and an overall decrease in purchasing power. For exporting countries, tariffs reduce market access, potentially decreasing production and employment in export sectors. We can see a significant drop in export volume after tariffs are implemented, leading to substantial economic impacts. In today's integrated global economy, tariffs create complex ripple effects beyond the directly targeted products and countries. When tariffs target intermediate goods, costs increase throughout the entire supply chain, affecting multiple industries and countries. From an economic standpoint, tariffs generally reduce overall economic efficiency, though they may serve other policy objectives. While tariffs may protect specific industries or achieve strategic goals, economists typically find they create more economic costs than benefits in the aggregate. Recent years have seen significant shifts in global tariff policies. After decades of general tariff reduction, some major economies have increased tariffs as part of more nationalist economic policies. The US-China trade dispute led to substantial new tariffs between the world's largest economies. Meanwhile, regional trade blocs continue to expand, creating tariff-free zones amid rising global tensions. Digital products and services present new challenges for tariff systems designed for physical goods. Climate concerns are driving new proposals for carbon border adjustment mechanisms, effectively functioning as environmental tariffs on carbon-intensive imports.